Robert Heffernan, EndoTech Analytics, streaming live exclusively for Pareto token holders. This is Blockchain Vitals. I do a daily show. I also do a weekly show, and the weekly, we're going to talk today mostly about weekly setups as far as I see, especially in that momentum modeling that we do and that I pay so particularly close attention to. For me, the momentum in the markets is the key to trading successfully, to being disciplined in your trading approach. And the momentum, man, what's that mo done for me lately? That's what I say. I really pay attention to the momentum. Sometimes it puts me on the sidelines. Sometimes it puts me, into leveraging positions. But I look at the mo. All right, but first, we got to do the rounds. Doing the rounds. It's a little segment we do every day, talking crypto land. But you know what? I want to talk about this and how it regards to crypto pricing because of the outlier. And I've said it at length about, do not assume anything about these markets. Let the numbers tell you what their potentials are, and that the outlier is available. And the outlier for me in the news is the Loyola Ramblers, right? The University of Loyola Chicago, the Ramblers, won the NCAA championship in 1963 and really hasn't sniffed it since then. 50 plus years. But just goes to show you, man, you don't know what's going on when you don't know what's going on, and anything can happen. Their possibilities are out there. So I don't know what the odds were before the season for the Loyola Ramblers to win the NCAA, but it had to be astronomical. And it just gives sway to the fact that outliers are available, and not only on the upside, but the way these markets have been acting, the outliers are available to the downside, and that's why the weekly and monthly time frames are so important to keep an eye on, to understand what those bigger time frame potentials are in the market. All right, so let's take the vitals and get right to it. Taking the vitals, it's our daily snapshot of the relative health or sickness of any particular crypto, and let's start with Bitcoin. Right now trading 8402. If you look at that sheet, real small value range, all right, 8450 to 8592. Not much trade on Sunday, and that's actually been an outlier for me. Sundays have been pretty busy. But that 8402 underneath the value range, even though it be small, but underneath the center line, underneath the pivot, just not acting particularly healthy. This is not healthy price action. And as we stay below that pivot and could take out the pursuit risk, your target's then 83.32, 82.35, which runs it right down towards that lower momentum on the daily, 81.59, lower momentum on the daily. Really wanted to see this market trade higher and close strong this week. The fact that it doesn't, it gives me pause here. I am long a little bit of Bitcoin by the action late in the week, and I really wanted to see it close strongly in the week. If you remember last week, lower momentum on the weekly was 85.31. All right, they closed below that. But this week, the lower momentum level comes at 82.50, so we're in this no man's land, basically. We couldn't close out of lower momentum last week, right? But this week, we opened the week out of lower momentum. Very intriguing setup. And for me, a test now of that 82.50 level, if this stuff really is going to build a base here and find strength and rally off of it, Bitcoin should really respect that 82.50 level this week. If they do not, and they just trade right back into lower momentum on the weekly, the weekly collar is the next logical place if this thing really starts to deteriorate and trend lower. And not much change in that weekly momentum collar to the downside. The lower collar, 38.67 this week. Last week was 38.68. So don't kill the messenger, man. I'm just telling you what the potentials in the market are. So I haven't flipped out of my Bitcoin yet. But if we take out that 8250 level, I'm going to have a pretty itchy trigger finger to get out, especially if then we also take out that lower momentum level on the daily, 8159. So that area, that 8160 to 8250 area, the market can go down there and sniff it out, but it better rebound off of it. Otherwise, I will be in a very easy position to let go of the small amount of Bitcoin that I have right now. All right. Let's go on to Ethereum. 518 in the middle of the value range, 515 to 524. But again, a real quiet Sunday trade. So not much there. But above the lower momentum level, 511, that definitely helps things out. But you don't want to see it get below there. And, when you step out to the weekly in Ethereum, that weekly down Mo level at 640. So we're well in lower momentum on a weekly time frame. 640, the lower momentum level, room down to $208, 208 in Ethereum. So one thing obviously in progressions leads to another. Weakness in the daily. It's already weak on the weekly time frame. We've gained a little bit of bottoming action here, hopefully in the daily time frame. But again, they trade and close this back in down momentum today at 511. Below 511, why would you want to own something that is acting that weak? And since these cryptos are mostly buy and holds, for me, I push my stuff to the tether. I push my stuff to the dollar tether and just sit on the sidelines and wait, man. Be patient. Wait. Store your bullets because you're gonna want to have the bullets to use them if this thing really melts down and blows out to these much lower levels. That 208 level being the lower momentum collar on the weekly in Ethereum. All right. Let's talk about XRP, Ripple, and I had dinner with some fellow crypto traders, used to be fellow commodity traders, and some people are migrating to this space and trading, and not a lot of fine things to be said about Ripple. But for me, you know what? I don't care one way or another about what somebody's fundamental view of in the market. As long as the technical view can make me money, I'm willing to play. But Ripple, 62, right? 62.92, just above its lower momentum. Again, small range on the value range basis, 62.50 to 64.15. Hanging out right there above lower momentum on the daily. But for me, the more important spot in Ripple is the lower momentum level on the weekly, which is 60 cents. They trade below that 60-cent level. I think that 53, the low that they made, the recent low is 53 cents. Then a little added bonus here, the monthly average or center line on a standard deviation basis in XRP is at 50 cents. So this thing isn't by any means showing any market strength, all right? Forget about that. They start closing the week below 60 cents. If they take out that 53 cents and the week or the monthly average at 50, you got to look at last year. That spent June through October in a range of like 15 cents to 30 cents. I don't see any reason why this thing wouldn't go at least check out the top half of that or the top of that range, that 30-cent level, and see how it reacts there. A lot of sideways action here, but now a couple weeks in a row for these things in lower momentum on a weekly basis. And that's not strength, man. That's not, that's Chicago Bear football pre-1985. It's not good. Nobody's sniffing out upper momentum or closing in upper momentum on dailies. Everybody's kind of hanging out around lower momentum on the dailies and firmly in lower momentum on the weeklies in XRP's and Ethereum's case. Bitcoin, that's level is 8250. For me, the whole complex has a major dump or sell-off if Bitcoin establishes volume and time below that 8250 level. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at 8250 in Bitcoin to give me direction for the rest of the market. The analysis is that this stuff is 92 to 98% correlated. So As one goes, the next goes, and obviously Bitcoin is the leader in this space. So we have to pay particularly a close attention to Bitcoin. All right, that's the show for today. You guys have a great weekend. Have a great trading week. Go Ramblers! Final Four next week in San Antonio, and the outlier, the Loyola Ramblers, in the Final Four. You couldn't have guessed it before the season. So the outliers are available. Pay attention to the potentials in the market, and don't be fooled when the market actually discovers the potentials. All right. Have a great trading week. We'll talk to you tomorrow.